Let's talk about vaccines, specifically the recent reports of blood clots with the AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson vaccines. As you may be aware, the United States paused its rollout of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine after reports of blood clots. And before that, AstraZeneca rollout was also paused in Europe due to a similar issue. Although after a few days, the vaccine distribution resumed again, with the European Medicines Agency concluding that the vaccine was safe and effective. Thankfully, with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the blood clots are very rare, and only 6 cases have been reported in over 7 million patients who received the vaccine. That's literally less than 1 in a million. So, is a 1 in a million chance a good enough reason to pause vaccines? The answer is complex and will actually depend on several variables, including the amount of new COVID cases daily, the amount of deaths, the limit of the healthcare system, and the population getting COVID. In the US and Canada, since most older adults have been vaccinated already, death rates have been lower than they were in the past, but they are trending up due to the cases trending up. At the same time, there are also new variants, and many physicians are reporting seeing younger patients in their ICU than at any earlier point in the pandemic. As such, pausing vaccinations is not a benign decision. This is because the virus is spreading as we speak, and for example, in Ontario, there are approximately 4,000 new cases daily, and the spread of variants has started to outpace the original strain. And so, every day patients aren't being vaccinated, more cases are happening. It's also important to look at the relative risk of blood clots from several other things. Birth control, for example, confers a 1 in 1100 chance of developing a blood clot, while smoking puts your risk significantly higher than that. Not to mention, the virus itself confers a risk of blood clots at a much higher rate than the vaccine. Among patients hospitalized with COVID, the chances of a blood clot are 1 in 7. Now, these are the risks for blood clots in general, and most of the blood clots seen in these scenarios are called deep vein thromboses, which are blood clots in the arms and legs, which, while painful, the chances of them being life-threatening are low. The blood clot associated with these vaccines are called central venous sinus thrombosis and are generally more dangerous than a normal blood clot. However, even when taking that into account, the chances of this blood clot occurring on the vaccine is still incredibly low. So why stop the vaccine if the chances of these bad events are so low? Essentially, it's to make sure that these events are as low as we think. With the world vaccinating at the rate of millions per day and so many different vaccines being administered over multiple countries, data is coming in at an unprecedented rate. This pause gives scientists a moment to crunch the numbers to assure that the adverse events are as rare as they seem. Once that's confirmed, the vaccine distribution should be restarted. A final point to reflect on is the efficacy of something called post-marketing surveillance. This is one of the phases of monitoring treatment safety. Despite the fact that these vaccines were tested on thousands of people, scientists continue to monitor for side effects even beyond that point. Patients are often sent surveys and are monitored on a grand scale for side effects from vaccines. This is why we were able to pick up a side effect that happens literally 1 in a million, because of the infrastructure in place to pick up incredibly rare events. This video was meant for educational purposes and doesn't constitute medical advice. If you have any questions regarding vaccines, please don't hesitate to ask your doctor.